Hi, everybody. Welcome to Horsepower Heritage. I'm Maurice Merrick, and greetings to all of you listening from places like Lansing, Michigan, Broomfield, Colorado, Napa, California, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, Edinburgh, Scotland, and Singapore. I love seeing the downloads from all around the world. It's great to know I've got an international audience, and car lovers all speak the same language at the end of the day, right? And I've got kind of an international episode for you today because Belgian photographer Bart Kuykens returns to the show. And this is a hat trick for Bart, as a matter of fact. He's my first guest to be on for a third time. And we recorded this one while Bart was in Miami shooting photos for a new volume on Porsches and their owners. He's got 2 books due out this year, in fact. One is focused on the LA Porsche scene, and then the other is focused on Miami. And it was interesting to hear how different those 2 places are in terms of the car culture in general and Porsches in particular. But on another note, I just wanted to say you guys really seemed to enjoy my conversation with Johnny Lieberman a while back. And that one was kind of free and easy. So this one's in the same spirit. So I hope you enjoy it. But before we get started, don't forget, I need your help to grow the podcast. And that never stops. So share the show with your friends. Leave me 5 stars and a quick review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. And if you're on another app that allows you to rate the show, for example, Spotify and I think CastBox, please do that. And if you want to support the show with a donation, you can do that at buymeacoffee.com/HP Heritage. And you can make it a one-time gift or you can make it a monthly contribution. Big thank you, by the way, to everyone who's already donated. I really appreciate it. All right, stay right there. Bart Kuykens returns to the show from Miami. And that's coming up right after this. This episode of Horsepower Heritage is sponsored by Model Citizen Diecast. No matter what's in your garage, you can fit all your automotive heroes on a shelf. And they've got you covered, whether it's 1/43rd scale, 1/18th scale, or even the ginormous 1/8 scale masterpieces from the Amalgam Collection. Go to modelcitizendiecast.com and get 10% off when you use the promo code HERITAGE at checkout. Limitations apply. From race cars to street cars and everything in between, it's Model Citizen Diecast, because your inner child still wants to play with cars.
How are you?
I'm great, Bart. How are you?
I'm good. I'm in Miami at the moment.
Yeah.
I've been working here for the last 3 weeks for my next book. And then I photographed a book in LA in, let me think, that was October, I think.
Yeah,
October,
because you
November.
and I were going to get together and grab some coffee or something. But
yes, but you were sick.
yeah, I was sick and our schedules didn't align. So, but,
Yeah.
well, and didn't you have a show out in Palm Springs as well?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I had a little exhibition in Palm Springs. It was very nice, amongst friends, nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
At Las Palmas Arts, which is a cute gallery owned by the wife of Jim Sterner, who's driving the Bahama Yellow 912, made by John Benton. And she has an interesting studio, and it's like family. They're always helping me out, and yeah, we did a little exhibition there, so that was interesting. And then I photographed for my LA book, which I think I'm going to release in June. And then this book that I finished here in Miami is going to release, I think, October, November, or towards the end of the year. Because the idea is to make 2 books a year, but only limited prints, like 200 edition of 200, edition of 250, something like this. Not thousands books anymore. The reason for this is that I sell out faster and that I can move on to a new project faster. Because otherwise, I feel like I get stuck in the same project, because you want to sell the books, and I don't want to sell the books for the next 5 years, the same books. So yeah,
very cool. So tell me, what's the theme of the LA book? You know, you like to have a theme.
Well, the LA book, I wanted to shoot a book about people who live and drive in LA. So I didn't shoot in Orange County or I didn't shoot in San Diego. I really wanted to have people in LA. And I also wanted to have something extra in the book other than just cars. So yeah, I photographed some stuff in downtown, like because those people also live in LA, the homeless people. So I shot a little bit of that as well.
Kind of the LA street scene.
Yeah, like the LA streets. Not always people, but sometimes it's people. Sometimes it's just an interesting corner. Sometimes it's just a wall of a house, something like this that I think makes sense for me, or something that I feel adds value to the book in terms of my artistic approach. Because if it's just cars, and I'm saying this for a long time, if it's just cars, it's just cars for me. So I'd like to include the people, and I like to tell a little bit of a different story than just the cars in 15 different angles.
Sure. Well, I know you like faces, and
Yeah.
you're drawn to distinct features and people whose faces really tell a story. When I look at those photos that you do, immediately my mind starts making a story about that person. If they're not somebody well known, which I know you do some celebrity photography as well, but when I see an anonymous person that you photographed, I start coming up with a story in my head, and I don't know why that is. Your photography, you managed to bring out really distinctive character features, just interesting faces, and I like that. And I'm a storyteller, so I guess it's natural that I do that.
Well, I like that as well. That's one of the reasons why I do it. I think a portrait is something. Of course, you capture a moment in time. That's what photography is all about, of course. But I want to tell a story, or I want to how do I say that? I want to people look at my picture and start making a story in their head, like what's going on there, or what is he or she thinking, or how does she feel. This kind of basically it's emotions. I try to capture the soul, um, and in black and white. I think for me that's the way it works best for me. Um, and especially if it's someone who's unknown, um, then it's even more interesting, because if you shoot a celebrity, then yeah, then you don't really think um, further than that, because you know their stories already. So or you know what they do. So if you I photographed Dave Gahan from Depeche Mode, and if you see his picture, then you always think about Depeche Mode, of course, and then you already have a little bit of a story in your head about that picture. Um, and if it's someone just from a homeless guy that lives on the street, you start thinking. And
No, it's interesting. Getting back to the book, by the way, what's the title of the LA book?
the title of the LA book is "To Live and Drive
In
in
LA.
LA,"
Okay, perfect.
because there's
I love it.
yeah
No.
because there's a
Yes,
movie
to live and die
is
in LA.
to live and die in LA. This is To Live and Drive in LA.
Yes, and Wang Chung sang the title song to live and die in LA.
Yeah,
Yeah, of
yeah.
course.
So
I'm an 80s kid, dude. I know all that stuff. Yeah, I love that movie. It's
yeah,
great.
so yeah, that's going to be the title of the book. Probably I'm going to do, as I said, 200 or 250 copies, and maybe the first 50 will be numbered and signed with a different cover, and that comes with an art print, for example, and then the other 200 or the other 150 will be just available on my website or through the bookstores where I sell my books now. I have a bookstore. I signed with a bookstore now in Culver City, which is very interesting, Arcana Books, and they have a lot of art books, and yeah, that's interesting.
Excellent. And by the way, Culver City is a neat place. Culver City has changed so much. It's really come up. It's a fun little spot in the surrounded by Metro Los Angeles, but I like it there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, the big difference for me always between Miami now and or New York and LA is that in LA you always have to take the car to go from one place to another, and except for Venice, there's no such thing as walking around in LA. Um, maybe yeah, West Hollywood a little bit, but I mean, it's always like big distances. Like in Miami, there's so much different places where you can go. You can go to Wynwood and walk around. You can go to Miami Beach and walk around. You can go to Design District and walk around. So also, although it's a big city as well, it feels like it's much more compact.
Yeah, really the only places that are walkable in greater Los Angeles are places like Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, El Segundo is walkable, parts of it. But you're right, LA is it's a lot of pavement, everybody's in their cars. It's hostile to pedestrians and cyclists.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's always, they complain here in Miami about traffic jam, but I mean, LA is worse. It's terrible.
You know, Bart, this is going to sound awfully old fashioned of me. Up until the 1950s, there were streetcars in Los Angeles, the Pacific Electric Line, and they were called the red cars because they were painted red. But you could ride the red car from downtown to Santa Monica. In fact, I know a guy who grew up, I guess, in the Pasadena area. And when he was 12 years old, he would jump on the red car and go to Santa Monica and go fishing. And nobody thought anything of it. Imagine a 12-year-old just roaming around Los Angeles on his own. I mean, today that's a scary prospect, but my point is that I wish they would bring the streetcars back. How cool would that be?
Yeah, that would be an amazing idea, but I think there's politics involved, of course. But anyway, I like LA. It's always good for me. I mean, there's a lot of different. The car culture is really interesting. The difference between LA and Miami is that there's a big car scene here as well. The only problem is it's boring here because it's Miami is flat, and the only thing when you go up a little bit, if you go up a ramp to go on the highway, but other than that, there's nothing. So, and in LA, it's a different ball game, of course, because you're in the mountains, very very quick and easy. So yeah, it's different. That's why I think Miami has more newer cars, like more modern stuff, faster cars, bigger engines, because there's a lot of highway that you have to do if you want to go out for a drive.
Yeah, I think that's true of Florida in general, Bart. You know, I was fortunate to spend some time with a Porsche club from the Tampa Bay area a couple years ago, the Paradise Region Group, they call themselves. It's all modern Porsches, not really a vintage scene. There's a few vintage cars in the club, but yeah, they just, they do these long tours on those flat, straight roads that's Florida, right? I mean, but isn't that's how Belgium is too, right?
No, people think it, but we have like, of course, in the north, it's most of it is flat. But if you go to the south, to the Ardennes, that's a pretty nice amount of mountains there. It's not like in France, like you go to the Alps or whatever, but it's really nice. You can drive around for days and have a lot of fun. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was thinking more like the western and northern part of Belgium, right? That's a lot more flat.
Yeah, yeah, that's like the Netherlands,
Right.
and
The Low
that's,
Countries.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's
It's probably nice that you are getting some Miami sunshine right now, right? Because it's cold back home.
well. I left when it was snowing. Miami is treating me well with the weather. I can't complain. The first week was a little bit cloudy, but and then tomorrow I fly back home, and then it will be
Back to reality.
back to reality. Yeah, but I'm always looking forward to go home. I, I mean, the older I get, the more difficult it gets to leave home. Because I miss the kids, and I'm thinking, oh my god, why am I going? What am I doing? Who's waiting for my books anyway? And this kind of feeling. But once I'm on the plane, once I'm here, I feel fine, and I know that I'm doing something that I really like. It's my passion. Uh, People appreciate my work. The books sell out quite well all the time. So as long as that happens, I think I'm doing something that people like. But of course, in the first place, I want to do it because I like it. I think that's the most important thing. But I do miss the kids. If I stay for 3, 4, 5 weeks, then I really miss them because they're 10 and 14. So it's thought to be really interesting.
Oh yeah, a lot of changes can happen in a month's time when they're that age.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
they need their dad around. If you're not careful, they resent you for being gone, right? I mean, I know how it is, dude.
Yeah, and the thing is, Miami, New York. It's 6 hours difference, so that's okay. But if you go to LA, that's 9 hours, which means you have a really small slot in the morning and a small time slot in the evening to talk to them. So most of the day you feel like you're cut off from friends and family in Europe, and that makes it even more lonely sometimes to be there. And then because of their age, they call and they say, "Oh, I had a football game and I scored two amazing goals," and then I feel guilty, like, "Oh my god, I didn't see it." But anyway, there's worse things than that, I think. And on the other hand, when I'm home, when I fly home, when I'm home, I'm home. So when I'm home for another, now I'm home for a month and a half. And by the way, next time I go to LA, I'm there for 2 weeks, and then they fly in with their mom. So we're gonna be together for 2 weeks as well with the family in LA. We're gonna do a little road trip, and I'm gonna show them around because I've been talking about LA for so many years, and now they told me we want to join. I'm very excited to see what they think about America and LA. I think they're gonna love Venice because of the skaters and the beach and the palm trees, and maybe they play GTA on PlayStation, so they will recognize some places. But I think they will have a little bit of a shock when I take them to downtown and they see the homeless. And I want them to realize how good life is at home. They cannot take it for granted that they have everything. They have a nice house, they have a pool, they have a PlayStation, they have a bike to go to school, we have a car, like most people do in Europe. And in the States as well. But I mean, there's a lot of people who don't. And you can end up in a tent very easily. And I want them to see that with their own eyes and make them think about those things. Because they have a lot of nice stuff, of course, because I work hard. My ex, the mom works very hard. So they have a good life and they don't always realize. So, for example, my youngest kiddo called me like 2 days ago and said, "I think my PlayStation is, I think it it broke." I said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." I said, "By the way, do they have like computers as well?" I said, "Yeah, of course they do here. Can you bring me one?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not going to bring you a computer. First of all, your PlayStation is working. I'm pretty sure. You just want to have a computer." And I said, "I'm not going to bring one." I said, "Yeah, but you can bring it in your backpack. It's easy, you know." I said, "No, it's not that easy to bring a computer in a backpack. And I'm not going to do it. You have to learn to be happy with what you have right now." And of course, it's also my fault because we spoil them too much.
Sure. No, no, it makes sense. And we all want our kids to have it easier than we did. I don't know necessarily if that's always a good thing, because struggle is good. The grind is good. I mean, look at you. You wanted to be a footballer. That was your ambition. That was your dream. You were kind of lost for a while, right? And you found photography and you're really working hard. I think you capture the car scene, the Porsche scene very well. And I don't know, I'm just impressed.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think I got that from my mom. She has been working hard for all her life, like waking up very early. I wake up between 5 and 6 every morning. I put my alarm even on Saturday and Sunday. Most of the time, I wake up before the alarm and I start working. I rarely take a day off because I don't feel like I'm working. I feel like I'm doing something I really like to do. It's my passion. I feel like it's not like I'm always feel like I'm on holiday, but I just like it. It's like going to a football club and play football for 8 hours a day. And that's what it feels for me. I'm really happy that I wake up in the morning, that I have a shoot and I take my stuff, even if it's really early, and I'm excited. Um, and the moment that I wake up and I'm thinking, "Oh no, I don't want to do it anymore," then it's time to do something else and let it go.
No, I know exactly how you feel. Same for me. Today I was at a video shoot all day. It was a very unique opportunity to capture some very special cars. And I'll be sharing that soon. But I don't want to say any more than that right now. But it was a lot of work, but it was also just a whole lot of fun. And then I had to hustle to get back to talk to you, but it was a good day. I'm energized by all that. And I'm sure you feel that same way. Like you're tired at the end of the day, but by the same token, you feel this inner satisfaction.
Well, that's also something that keeps me going, and I meet people all the time that say, "Hey, I'm inspired by your work, and I'm inspired by the way you do it," and that makes me happy. And yeah, I'd like to help them if I can, and if I can inspire them, then yeah, then I'm happy. And sometimes they inspire me as well, without them knowing that they inspire me as well. And I get inspired by a lot of things, by a lot of people. It doesn't have to be photography, not at all, and it doesn't have to be cars. Um, but I think that's the point, to meet other people, to look at art or to read a book or whatever, and get inspired by other people, and you take a little bit of what they do, of what they say, and you implement that in your work ethic or whatever, and it's not stealing. It's just like makes your life more interesting. And a couple of months ago, a guy mailed me and said, "Hey, listen, I have a question, but it's really a little bit. I'm not sure about it. I'm shooting cars now, and I want to do it on film, just like you, in black and white. And I'm thinking about making a book. But do you think that that's okay? Because he was following me for a while, and you're doing the books in black and white." And I was like, "Hey, I didn't invent black and white photography. I didn't invent making books, and I didn't invent cars. So of course, go ahead, make a book, and I'll buy it. I'll support you." So yeah, I'm always happy to inspire people, and if I can help them, then I'm the first one to help them.
Well, kudos to you, by the way, for responding to him.
Yeah, it's not always that easy, because if you get a lot of messages, it also takes a lot of time to respond to all of them. So sometimes I forget, or I miss, I skip a few, but then it's by accident. But yeah, I think if I can help them, then why not? And of course, there's always questions that you think, yeah. Someone asked me, "Hey, I saw a Porsche. I'm living in, like, on the other side of the world, and I want to buy a 3.2 Carrera. It's in green. What do you think? Should I buy it?" And then I'm like, "I don't know. I'm on the other side of the world, but I don't think they just need confirmation from someone they like or follow, and think has a knowledge about certain things." I recently did a commercial for Hasselblad again, the release of the new digital bag, and everybody knows I'm shooting for 99% on film, but once in a while I use the digital bag for something else. And then people reach out to me like, "Hey, if you see, do you think it's going to be a great camera for me? What do you think?" And then I'll try to be as honest as possible and tell them like, "Hey, this is great, and these are the disadvantages, and if you like what you're shooting right now, then just keep shooting what you shoot, because buying an expensive camera is not going to make you a better photographer. It's as easy as that." When I shoot on film with my Leicas, they're cheap, like €400 for the body and a couple of $100 for the lens. It's cheap camera. Yeah. Some people, yeah, because they're a little bit stuck, then they think I need different lenses, I need a different camera. It has to be like our Hasselblad as well. But there's no, you can do great stuff with your iPhone. You just have to find, I think, a niche that you say, "Okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I think that I'm good at," and then just go all in. But you have to jump.
No, it's really true. And I'm no photographer. I'm not going to claim any skill whatsoever. But if you can be aware of the fundamentals of framing and lighting, that's half the battle, in my opinion. I mean, like, for example, people take photographs that are backlit and they lose all that detail, or the framing is off so that, like, they don't know the rule of thirds, or left to right, the framing is wonky, and the photograph is becomes incomplete, right? It's an incomplete image. It's sometimes you want a little bit of tension, right? With an asymmetrical photograph, that tension is good. But other times, if it's not framed properly, people don't like the photograph. It's like a deeply psychological thing, don't you think?
It's a thin line between, and it's not because I like a picture that you have to like it as well. It's very personal, but it's true that framing is very important, and it's also a matter of how you think it looks great. But one of the things I don't like these days is digital cameras who take 60 frames per second. because for me, and that's also personal, I think that takes away the craft of being a photographer. Because if you shoot 60 frames in a second, you always have a great shot. And that's of course what's Sony, which is a great brand and a great camera, but it takes and everything is autofocus, and it's Sony is so good at autofocus, and then on top of that, it shoots like an amazing amount of pictures per second. I think it's 60 or something these days, or I don't know, maybe more. Yeah, then it's hard to miss. But then where's the art and where's the craft? So it's just what you want, and it's just what you think is good for you. For me, digital doesn't really work. I always think it looks flat and too perfect, and I find it difficult to find my own vibe when I shoot digital. I have a workflow for that right now, which I think looks okay. But if I can choose, I will always shoot on film. Always.
Bart, are you doing your own processing?
Not anymore. I used to do it for a couple of years, but at this moment in my life, it doesn't add value to what I do. I have a company in Germany who develop my film the way I like it. They know, and they do it probably better than I would do it, and they do it faster than I would do it. And
Time is money, right?
yeah, it makes more sense. And they scan it the way I want it, high resolution. They send me the files, and I have everything, and I still have the negatives at home if I want to do something else later. So
Do you do a lot of testing? Do you do test shots?
most of the time, I like to shoot fast and painless, which is the name of one of my portrait books, by the way. No, I shoot fast, very fast. For me, that works fine. I don't like to set up a lot of stuff. I don't like to think about a shoot too much. I almost never prepare for a shoot. I wake up in the morning, I just go, and I will see when I arrive. Because you can't control a lot of things. When you work in the studio, it's different. But I always work outside, so you can hope for the sun, but for the same money, it's raining. So I just play by ear, and I go, and I think I always find the right angle, or the right moment to capture. I like to focus on that and be very concentrated. I only shoot two, sometimes three rolls of film, which is not that much. In 35 millimeter means 36 pictures for a roll. But now I shot this book with a medium format camera with a Hasselblad, which means 16 pictures on a roll. So two rolls, 32 pictures. That's not a lot, and I have to choose between 8 and 12 pictures out of those 32. So you have to be sure what you're doing, and yeah, sometimes I probably miss something because I only have 32 shots, and I'm just because the roll is exposed, and I'm putting another one inside, and then just something amazing is coming by. So, oh my god, and then you're too late. But that's part of life, and that's part of it is what it is. And I don't try to control those things, because you can't. Yeah, you can if you have two cameras and you're shooting everything what moves, then you always have everything. But I don't think you need to have always everything.
No, that makes sense. And I knew, Bart, that you like to shoot from the hip. I know also that you like to shoot natural light whenever possible. Like, that's ideal, right? I mean, studio photography is a completely different animal. Like, your style is more of a photojournalistic style, I would say, than anything. If you had to pick a style, that's kind of the best description, right?
Yeah, that's how I like it, and that's how I am, and that's my personality is like that as well. It's like, yeah, I go out and shoot, and let's see what happens. And sometimes, yeah, it's difficult to explain. It feels natural for me the way I do it. Some people like to prepare a lot of stuff, which is fine as well. But that's not the way I work.
No, I totally get it. So now tell me about this Miami book. Is it going to be black and white? Is it going to be color?
No, it's going to be black and white. Back to black. Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting choice because Miami is known for being such a colorful place, right? I mean, it's a technicolor environment.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why I think it's interesting to shoot it in black and white, because I see so many things here that I think, oh my god, this looks amazing in blue, yellow, whatever. They have every kind of color here, and it's very vibrant. And but you have the sunsets and everything. But I think if you take away all this and you just shoot in black and white, you come back to the essentials, and that's what I like to do. And the obvious choice would be to shoot in color. I do it in black and white because I feel that's what I like to do best, and it feels better for me to shoot in black and white.
Tell me about some of the subject matter for the Miami book, because the LA book I see it all right now. I can picture where you've been, who you've been with, even though maybe the listener can't. It'll be exciting for them. But the Miami reveal is kind of different for me because it's a totally different scene down there. So how have you picked your subjects?
I've been I know a lot of people here, so I had some help from friends. Like, hey, who do you know which might have is an interesting character or an interesting car? In terms of location, I always have a couple of locations in mind that I think I want to shoot this as well. But most of the time, I ask people where they want to shoot. Does it make sense for you to shoot there? And if they say, "Oh yeah, because I grew up in this street," or "This building is from my uncle," or "This bridge is the one I take every morning to bring my kid to school," then it makes sense for them, and then it makes sense for me as well.
Bart, what's the title of the Miami book?
I don't know yet. I have something in my mind that I think would make sense, um, but I can't really tell at the moment because I'm not 100% sure about it. One thing that I can tell is that I photographed this full book with one lens. So I only brought one lens, and I told myself, like, listen, this is it. Because when you travel with two or three lenses, they have a lot of options, of course, which is good sometimes. But if you take one lens, then you have to be creative. Then it's if you're too close, then you have to walk back. If you're too far away, then you have to step forward. So that makes you more. You need to look different because you only have one lens, so you have to walk around a lot more than you would do when you have two or three lenses with you. That was something that I wanted to do to give myself an extra creative boost to shoot only with one lens.
No, it's interesting. Now, I would guess it's either a wide angle lens or a prime lens, like a 50 millimeter lens.
It is a prime because I only shoot prime lenses. I never shoot a zoom lens. Um, but yeah, you're right about that. But that's something I like when I pack my bags for traveling. I'm always like, okay, which camera am I going to take? Is it going to be the medium format? Is it going to be the 35 millimeter? Which cameras? Which lens or which lenses do I take? And sometimes it's funny to just hop on a plane with one lens or and one camera and shoot everything with that one lens.
No, it's good. It stimulates your creative juices, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
forces you to do something different.
yeah. That's it. It's not about that I'm lazy, and it's not that I don't want to walk around with three lenses. But I never carry three lenses. By the way, it's all or one lens or two, and then two. That means for me a 28-50 or 35-75, something like this. It makes me nervous. It's carrying around too much stuff, so you always think you take the wrong lens. Then uh,
No, it's totally in keeping with your photojournalistic aesthetic. Hey, Bart, by the way, any car adventures this year? I mean, I know that when you've been on the show before, you've sort of confessed that, like there's not a lot of great driving in Belgium and you've got to get up into the Black Forest in Germany to find some great roads. But have you had any good trips? Are you looking forward to anything? What's going on in your own personal garage? You've got that amazing long hood 911 that sits in your living room that I'm totally envious of. So what's up?
the white one, the white. No, that's a 912. That's a 66 912 short wheelbase, and currently John Benton in LA is building me a new engine for that car, so I can't wait for him to ship it. And then, yeah, I'm gonna drive it. We always have a drive in Belgium with friends. I have an event coming up in Prague, in Czechia. Maybe I Czech Republic. Maybe I'll drive there. I don't know. I have an event in Switzerland, in Zug, which is also super interesting to drive there, Switzerland. I have a couple of shoots in the UK, and I like the UK as well for driving. So yeah, there's interesting stuff coming. So yeah, it's going to be, I hope it's going to be an exciting year.
No, I'm sure it will be. And I hope that we can connect next time you're on the West Coast. That would be fantastic.
That will be April. So April, I'm there. So let's go for coffee.
Let's do it, buddy. All right, listen, people can catch up with you at bartkuykens.com, right?
Right. That's it.
BARTKUYKENS.com. And I'll, of course, as always, links are in the show notes. Hey, Bart, thanks for hanging with me this afternoon. This was really fun.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. And I know you're probably looking forward to eating some pizza, getting on a plane.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, buddy. Yeah. Long day for you. But listen, thanks for hanging out. And yeah, all the best.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time. And yeah, let's talk soon.
That's all for this episode of Horsepower Heritage. I'll see you back here on Valentine's Day, February 14th. So until then, I'm Maurice Merrick. Thanks for listening.